Hi, and welcome back. It's G-Man, My World 67. Well, I'm here at the old desk and been working on that world's greatest American Flyer Circus show car. And as you saw in that previous video, this car was broken up and was not in the best of shape. And so I managed to repair it. I'm trying to find a place to set this camera where you can see the best shot, the best angle. Sorry about that. I think that's going to be the best shot. Okay. But anyway, I finally got it done. I really didn't mean to do it really right now, but like all of us or some of us, we get something, we want to work on it right away, and I really wasn't doing anything and still hadn't been able to get out in the shop and do anything. And we had a really busy weekend. We had grandsons' birthdays and a lot of different things going on. And so I took a little time and sat down and in between and went ahead and worked on this. Now what I've done was, as if you remember, this corner was broken right here. It was all broken out. So I took some styrene and glued it in there. As you can see right there. Try to get a little better. There we go. A little better angle on it. Kind of bad places for camera. And we had this one big spot here that was broken out. And I repaired it the same way. Got some styrene and glued it in. Now what I used, I found out that I'm allergic to the JB Weld plastic weld epoxy. So I can't use it any longer. I'm going to send this to one of you guys probably. I use a lot when I'm dealing with the plastics this Tester's model cement. It melds the plastic together. Works really great when you're using styrene molded plastics. And so I took some of that Tester's and I cut a piece of plastic. This one is doubled, as you can see the thickness of it, because I wanted it not just in the broke out section, but I wanted it behind the broke out section so that it would also brace it. And so I put a strip in here, cut a strip, and put it in here, and then fashioned another piece of styrene and put it in here. Glued it all up. Now it's been glued up now for probably 3 days today maybe, because I think I did it on Saturday. And we had one little spot right here. And we've got it. Now, that took care of all 3 spots. Now, I've been sanding it down. Got it all pretty well smooth. At least good enough for me anyway. Got it pretty well shaped. This one, gonna take a little more sanding. Now, if you ever do sanding like this and you have lettering that close to where you're sanding, you might want to put a piece of masking tape over the letters that are close to your sanding area. Now, I had done that when I first started, and then when I quit the other night, I was so close to being done with the sanding that I figure I could pretty much keep my sandpaper down where it needs to be without running up on the letters. Just got a little bit more to take off of that. And what you want to do is you want to get it down to where it's feathered out, to where these actually start to blend in where the seam was. Now I've got the crack, if you will, from where the repair was made. I've got that sealed already. So I went back the next day and put some more glue down in around to try to get it so that it would be sealed. And it actually just takes a few minutes of your time. Of course, the more time you put on it, normally the better the job, especially once your glue dries, where you can't do a lot more damage outside of running up on your lettering. Now this is still a little high right in this area right here, but I don't think I'm going to too much worry about it. Because you really can't see it. You can feel it, but you can't see it. Now the main thing I want to try to recreate in doing this is this line. Get my little trusty pencil out. There's a line right here where this bottom half of this car is actually more like a skirting. And this is actually a little lip that hangs over a little ridge. And so we want to try to recreate that ridge, put that ridge back in so that it still exists and not have the plastic flush from top to bottom. I think we've got it. Now I'm going to take one of these green scuff pads and I'm going to go over the area I just sanded a little bit. If there's anything a little high or a little rough, this little pad will catch it. That one's real smooth. And that one's real smooth. There we go. Yeah. All right. Wipe them down. Now, I'm going to take the paint pen, and this yellow is very close to the original color, but it's not the original color. But we're going to use this to start. My friend John Long, over at John Long Silver Rails, suggested that when I go back over the bottom side of it, that we do it in red. And so that was a good suggestion, John. And we're going to go ahead first, though, and do this in this yellow so that we can get an idea of what it's actually going to look like. Now this is set up for a while, so this yellow is kind of being a little bit iffy about whether it wants to come out or not. And I use these ink pens quite a bit. I also use the brush paints. The biggest difference being is that when you can brush it on, you can put it on heavier. And when you spray it, which is what I might end up doing, I don't want to have to spray the whole car, so I'd have to mask these areas off. But right now, I'm just trying to get a feel for how this is going to look. Well, like I said, it's a lighter yellow, and it's going on top of white, so it's going to take more of it to cover. But we're just doing a little test area right there. Wish I could get a little more yellow paint out of this paint tip, though. There we go, maybe. Just really dry. There, that's somewhat better. Okay. Now, as you can see, once you get enough paint on that, if you have a smooth, nice and smooth area, that will pretty much disappear. Now, what we're going to do is on this other side, we're going to do this corner. There we go. And then we'll go ahead and do this larger area. I didn't want to do this larger area with this until after I saw how this particular color was going to work, and how it was going to cover. But actually, once the paint starts coming out, it's actually covering real well. Got a little bit of paint right there. On the tip of the W. No big deal. There we have it with the first coat on. You can tell a little bit more difference in the two colors, and the larger the area, the more it shows. A little spot up here. Paint on this car was just almost perfect. Okay. And there we have it covered. Now, is it done? Well, no, not really. I mean, I could just leave it like that. But I want a little better job than that, because I want it to be the very best I can give it without putting a whole lot of extra time into it and yet being a good job. Will it be perfect? No, it will not be perfect. A lot of times brand new is not even perfect, but it will be suitable and presentable, and that's what we want. We want it to be suitable and presentable, so that if and when someone else should acquire it, for whatever reason, that it'll be something that they'll appreciate and something that they'll really like or desire. But as you can see, those areas are mended. I still might go back and work on this larger area a little more, filling and sanding a little more. I don't really know whether it's going to actually be necessary or not, because as John Long had suggested, once I take the red and go across the bottom of it, you'll probably never even see it, and unless you're looking real close. Anyway, I cleaned the journals. I had some rust on the journals, and I cleaned the journals off. And I'm going to take, excuse me, I'm going to take the permanent marker, go over the journals. A lot of times I'll paint them, repaint them, but they're not that bad, so I'm just going to take the permanent marker, go over them, and kind of restain them. I think I'm going to redo this one a little bit more. There's a little bit more rust down there that I'd like to get off of there. It's just a little surface rust. And touch those up, do the line, and maybe this one letter here, which was already faded just a little bit on the tip anyway. On the bottom half of this W, I don't know if you can see it or not, it got a little bit of yellow paint on it right there. And we'll come back and touch that up. And put the red trim on the handles. When we're all done, it should look like a really nice, decent car. As I said, had it not been chipped up, this car would have been almost perfect. All right, guys, that's all I have for you right now. I'm waiting on my rear and front trucks to come in for this 561. I made some other recent purchases on eBay and a couple of trades, and so I've got about 4 or 5 things coming in that I'm going to share with you when they come in. It's all American Flyer, and outside of a few parts and pieces, had to buy a piece of mark now and then because I have got my Hornby project coming up, and I like to use marks for those projects. I'm just sold out completely on marks. I've always been a marks fan. Marks and American Flyer have always been my main two train companies, and Kuzan has been always been another one. So, and I just love trains. So I've tried to get a hold of every kind of train over the years that I could, that I could afford or that I could find to fix up, and that's what I've done. I'm really no longer a collector. I haven't really collected now in so many years, but it seems like I'm still collecting, and it's time to put an end to that and as I said before, fix some of the things that I already have, add a few new pieces. There's nothing wrong with that. But I've been getting rid of quite a few. I've traded off and sold probably 100 engines in the last 4 or 5 months. So how many do I have now? I have no idea. Didn't know how many I had before I did that. Haven't counted them yet. Haven't done a complete inventory yet. In the process of doing that also as I go through the trains and see. But anyway, I don't do this for financial gain, financial purpose. I do this for my own enjoyment and an opportunity to share with others different ways that they can do things to save money themselves and enjoy one of the greatest hobbies in the world. All right, as I said before, that's all I have for you for now. As always, happy rails and God bless until we meet again.